College football Saturday morning talk. In fact, I messed that up. It's Saturday morning college football talk. Thanks for joining me. I am not Bobby Durkins, at least not on this channel. We're starting off week 8. I believe this is week 8 now. And games are going to be kicking off in the next 45 minutes. We're going to kind of recap who's starting off the day. I'll go over, if you're like me and you're in the state of South Carolina, I'll go over some of the teams who are playing today. Obviously, Clemson plays at Miami tonight. I did a preview on that game just a few days ago. But before I get any started, before I go any farther, coffee has not kicked in for me. Before I go any farther, I'm Brian. I'm not Bobby Durkins. Bobby Durkins, my redneck alter ego. There he is. He did a video on Shane Beamer breaking his foot. You want to check that out. And a couple of weeks ago, he drank Dabo Swinney's sweat. You want to check that out. But thank you for being here. Hope you subscribe and turn on the notifications. So in just a few, Penn State will play at Ohio State. For all of us good old Southern boys, you're like, why do I care? Why do I care about Penn State and Ohio State? Penn State always finds a way to blow it. They had Saquon Barkley in 2017 with that opening kickoff he took to the house. They went up, 21-3 or something like that. They still lost. Penn State can't get past Ohio State. But this game has championship implications. And by the way, if you see the thumbnail, I'm going to go back. I'm going to put the thumbnail back up here. You see the big noon kickoff. You see the college game day kickoff. Well, right now, over this screen, I have both shows on. And I'm going to talk about both of those shows in just a second. But obviously, as I said, Ohio State kicks off here in just a moment, 12 o'clock. A couple of some more 12 o'clock games you want to pay attention to. Central Florida at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 17-point favorite. Now, for those of you who don't know, Gus Malzahn, yes, former Auburn coach Gus Malzahn is the head coach at Central Florida. You go, Brian, why does that matter? They're 3-3. Gus Malzahn, one of his strengths is coaching in big games. One of his greatest failures, and the reason he's no longer at Auburn, is that when he's not coaching in a big game, he coaches down to the talent he's playing. That's the reason why you would see upsets with Auburn. Inconsistency. Well, today they're playing Oklahoma. They're going to play up. They're going to play up. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that. They're going to try to play up. Still think Oklahoma inks it out. That's a 12 o'clock game. Another 12 o'clock game, another undefeated team, a team who's flown under the radar, pun intended. They're the Air Force Falcons, 6-0. They're in the top 20. I had to rub my eyes when I saw the AP Top 25 come out. I was like, what? That's weird. That's odd to see. Now, I'm going to get into some of the state of South Carolina games that'll be playing. The Dookie Eaton Chickens of South Carolina are going to play at Missouri. Missouri 6-1, 7.5-point favorite. This is a 3:30 game. I believe it's SEC Network. So for all of the Gamecock fans, you're 2-4. Are you going to go 2-5? Normally, the underdog here always gives the favorite a run for their money. Had someone say, hey, look, at Missouri, they never get past 6 wins. They're already at 6 wins, and they're playing a 2-4 football team. Of course, that was a Gamecock who said that to me. I didn't say that Missouri is the second coming, that they're one of the greatest football teams of all times. I'm saying they're much improved. And the Gamecocks beat them and get their third win of the season, or does the Gamecocks go 2-5? That's a great question. We should ask that question. By the way, anyone wanting to know why I'm wearing my glasses right now, it's because I could not see those two screens that are only 5 feet away from me. That's, yeah. Take them off. I'm fine right here, but I put them on. Ryan Day's coat is absolutely awful. In fact, I think I'm getting a headache. I think Jenny Taft just threw up. Say some quick hellos. Tiger Paul Craven in here. Tiger Paul Craven from the Voice of College Football Clemson show. Go check them out. It's good to see you, pal. We need to get together soon. And then my nephew, who should be playing a football game here in just a little bit. Good luck to you today. Probably won't make it today, unfortunately. But y'all go play hard. He played a really good game. Proud of him. And my niece, she's cheerleading for the team. She does a really, really good job. I'm proud of both of them. Good Clemson people. Getting back to college football, Clemson, of course, plays at 8 o'clock tonight. Both teams needs a win. I've had a lot of Canes fans reach out to me concerning the video I did, the preview of the Miami and Clemson game. And a lot of them said, hey, look, I've never heard of you before, but you did one of the best unbiased previews for both teams. You were fair. And I just want to tell them thank you for that. That's very kind of you to say that. And it's always good to hear those feedback because obviously I have my Tiger flag hanging back here. Obviously, you know who I want to win. I mean, that would be obviously, you know who I want to win. But when I am looking at my team, I do my very best to be honest about my team. And that's why there's a lot of people in the Clemson community and they don't like me because I tell the truth about my team. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but I'm also not trying to lie to myself. I'm going to tell you the truth about my team. So when I do a preview, and especially if you're playing Clemson, yes, I want you to lose. I want my Clemson team to win, but I also want to be legitimate. So I can set myself up to know what to expect. So I appreciate those kind of comments. Clemson's got to win this game tonight. Clemson has to win this game tonight. So, if you want to be taken seriously, you have to win this game. Miami, if I'm Miami, Miami has to win this game. If I am Miami, I'm like, this is a must-win game. We've blown it 2 weeks in a row. One of them, one of the worst coaching decisions that I have seen. Children, kids, ladies, men, all of you, old and young, rich and poor, please hear me. You do not hold your middle finger up to the ABCs of football and think that you're not going to get bit. That's what Miami did against Georgia Tech. That happened. Tiger 2 Deep says, I missed your prediction for tonight. Well, my friend, it is still up. It is still up on the I picked Clemson to win by 3 points. But I said I wouldn't be shocked if Miami won the game. We're sitting right here and you there. Yeah, I think it's going to be Benjamin Strickland. I think it's going to be a close game as well. I think it is going to be a close game as well. I think it could be very entertaining because you see two teams who are desperate. Miami's more desperate than Clemson right now because of the 2 consecutive losses. Clemson had a bye week. Half the season's over. They had the poor performance against Wake Forest. That's the only thing that makes me, if they'd have went out and beat the crap out of Wake Forest, which they should have, you beat bad teams bad. That's a mark of a good football team. You don't let them hang around. You beat them, you dominate them, and you put them out of their misery. But they didn't. Had they done that, I would be more confident about a 10 to 17-point win for Clemson going into Miami tonight with all the talent that Clemson legitimately has on the roster. That shouldn't matter that Clemson has 50 plus 4 or 5-star players. That should matter. But that has not mattered this season. Coastal Carolina, which I had the pleasure of seeing not this past Tuesday, but the week before when they went up to Boone. That crazy finish. If you have not seen the highlights for that game and how it finished, you should. That was the first time that Coastal has ever beat Appalachian State at Appalachian State. And my family and I were there for the game, and it was great. We had a wonderful time. That's a very pretty area. We sat, obviously, nestled in between a bunch of Appalachian State fans. And there was some very nice people. Of course, every fan base has their idiots, but we sat with some really good fans, and they were really, really kind. So, you know, they were good sports, but that was a great game. Tonight, uh, Coastal Carolina plays against Arkansas State at Arkansas State. I believe the kickoff for that game is 7:30, 7:00 or 7:30. I'm not seeing it on my ESPN. It is 7:00 on ESPN Plus. Coastal Carolina, they're 3-3. Arkansas State's 3-3. Coastal Carolina's 8.5-point favorite. So if you're in the state of South Carolina, you need to check out that football game. And then the Furman Paladins from here in the upstate of South Carolina, they're 5-1. They're playing at Western Carolina. Western Carolina is in Cullowhee, North Carolina. Probably an hour and a half from here. And they're doing a really good. I mean, Western Carolina is doing a really good job. They're 5-1. Furman's 5-1. The only loss that the Paladins have is to the Gamecocks. By the way, that's one of two, only 2 wins for the Gamecocks this year. So they're playing at 2:30 today. Let's get back into national. Well, before I get into national, I want to talk about College Game Day and the Big Noon Kickoff. College Game Day is the OG of Saturday morning college football. We know this. You see Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit. Lee can't be on there because between his age and the stroke he suffered many years ago, he's just not in a good place. And I have family members who suffered stroke. I have family members who had dementia. I've seen all that. So I'm not going to sit here and take, shots at a man. That would be just awful. But you can tell the guy's just, I feel bad for him, but he's an OG, Now you're seeing more and more Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, what a story. The guy who misses the kick at West Virginia, everybody thinks about that, but he goes on to the NFL, has this very storied history, starts a podcast. And I think ESPN is paying him $150 million for that podcast. That's incredible. I think he's on every day for 4 hours? Something like that. $150 million, I would too. It's got AJ Hawk on there. It's entertaining. But I'm telling you, the Big Noon Kickoff, I enjoy watching it. I mean, of course, they focus mostly on Big Ten. But everybody's focusing on the Big Ten today because why? Penn State and Ohio State. And it kicks off. It's not an 8 o'clock game tonight. 8 o'clock game tonight on ABC is Duke at Florida State. But it's interesting to watch both of these shows to see some of these players they've brought back. It's funny to see Brady Quinn and Matt Leinart. I remember that Bush push. When it happened, I was watching it. But so far, I haven't seen near as much on the Big Noon Kickoff. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but on the Big Noon Kickoff, you really don't see all those sappy stories as much as you see them on ESPN. Now, I know someone is going to come on here and you're going to say, Brian, it's good to hear some feel-good stories. Yes and no. See, my approach to college football, and I try not to break this. I have broke it, and then I regret it, okay? I regret breaking my rules. I try to stay away from politics. I try to. Sometimes it oozes out if I'm in a mood, but I try to. I try to stay away from it. I try to stay off of certain issues. What's sad is when you criticize certain people, certain issues gets brought up, and you're like, what? That's not even at play here. But you brought it up. But transparently, I just want to watch football. I just want to talk football. I want to talk about the players. I mean, think about this Pierce kid. Right now, they're showing this Pierce kid from Tennessee. And by the way, last night I had a great show. Had Sports Talk Jay on, John Chapman from Sports Talk Jay. We talked about the Tennessee game, and just to let you know, I opened up with this question, and I let him know the first question I was going to ask him. Why? Why would we believe that Joe Milton will go into Bryant-Denny Stadium, Tuscaloosa, and beat Alabama? That was a good show. You should go watch it. Drop him a line, say hello. But I want to learn about these guys. You know, I don't need to be sitting there crying over my coffee on a Saturday morning because the running back for, I'm just making this up, the running back for ABC football team carries the memory of his brother's frog in his heart. His brother's frog was ran over by a car when he dropped it, and it hopped out in front of a car. And you got people crying. I don't care about that. I'm sorry. I don't care about that. I will never care about that. So I really don't see that much on the big noon kickoff. I see more of that on ESPN. Although it's funny, Tom Rinaldi is on the big noon kickoff now. And he was the ones who did the show. First of all, I don't know Tom Rinaldi. For all I know, most of the time, guys who seem very sad, they do these sad pieces. There's some of them are some of the funniest, happiest people in the world, and they just get stuck with it. It's like, this is what I have to do. So if they're going to pay you to tell these terrible stories, if they're going to pay you to do, of course you're going to do it. Just like any job, you're told to do something, you do it. But every time I would see Tom Rinaldi come on, all of a sudden I felt like they need to follow this up with either an advertisement for a depression medicine or counseling. Maybe a bottle of liquor, because we're going to need it after this. This is crazy. Speak of the devil, there he is on the Big Noon Network, him and Aaron Andrews, Greg Olson. They're all bouncing around, making tons of money. That's good for them. Good for them. Let's get back to football. By the way, I like to watch CBS. Like if you have CBS Sports Network, I have YouTube TV. I've bounced around all these different, Hulus and Sling. And I use Sling, orange and blue. I haven't looked at it in quite a while. Fubo. I think what's one of them's Fubo. My brother-in-law has Fubo. He loves Fubo. He's watching 76 games at one time. Now, he does have he has a massive TV, so he can do that. So, as I said, Ohio State, Penn State kicking off in just a few. Texas playing the first game since the whole Oklahoma game. Both Texas and Oklahoma had a day off last week. Texas playing the Houston Cougars. They either played not this past Thursday, but the Thursday before, or the Friday before. You know what I mean? Houston almost blew it to West Virginia, threw a Hail Mary, won the game. This game is at Houston. It is a Big 12 game. Funny enough, Texas is still a 23.5-point favorite. You have to ask yourself, is there a chance for Houston to win this game? I just see Texas taking care of business. That's what I see. We have the North Carolina Tar Heels playing Virginia. Tony Elliott. I mean, 1-5. And I'm just telling you, I don't see this. I think he's going to get a couple of extra years. They're going to give him a little more time. They're going to give him some more consideration. They're going to give him a little more time. But I am telling you, whether they fire him today or they fire him in 2 years, the Virginia Cavaliers are going to still end up having to fire. I'm looking up. I see Manny Diaz, the DC for Penn State. You're talking about, you know what? I wish there's a point of me. The point. I'm telling y'all, my coffee is not working. There's a part of me that kind of wish that I could get into the coaching world like Manny Diaz, Kevin Steele, Todd Grantham, Will Muschamp. Everybody talks about Manny Diaz and what a great defensive coordinator he is. But he gets fired. He gets fired. Todd Grantham, fired. Will Muschamp, fired. And they make money hand over fist. I'm not being sarcastic here. I admire that. I admire it. Most people, when you get fired from a career, it is like pulling teeth to get another job. And most of the time, it's a job that's way less than what you just had. Way, way less. Yeah. If you're making $100,000 a year, you might be lucky to squeak out a job that pays 90 after that. They're going to have to have some time to figure out why you got fired, not in coaching. Not in college football coaching. All you have to do, you go out there, you don't do a good job, you don't live up to expectations, you're a head coach, they fire you, they still have to pay you out, and then somebody comes along and says, hey, why don't we pay you $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million to be the DC for this football team? What? All while they're getting paid out? I'm telling you, that is incredible. That's funny. They're paying him a lot of money. Folks, I'd love to get into that. I would love to get into that. I told my wife the other day, I'm 40 years old. I'll be 41 in a couple of weeks. Less than a couple of weeks now. I told my wife, I said, you know what I think I'm going to do? Especially with how Swinney just continues to hire from either within. I said, I'm thinking about going, and Clemson's not too far from here. I'm thinking about enrolling as a GA. Just be a yes man. And in 5 years, I'll be making millions of dollars and I could be terrible at my job. Or average. Why try to climb the corporate ladder when you can go in and just get in the toilet bowl that is coaching and just be the turd that circles around the toilet? But it just won't go down. Now, I'm not calling Manny Diaz a turd or Grantham or Muschamp. All I am saying is in the normal everyday world of life, if you are bad at your job or you're average, you don't make superb money. But not in coaching. And that also proves to you that these ADs have absolutely no clue what they're doing. SR987 says, Bobby, you'd make more money on YouTube versus coaching. Not high school ball. I'm talking about getting into major football. I'm not talking about high school football. I'm talking about major football. And I'm not knocking anyone who's in high school football. Right now, I have a friend of a friend who is one of the top high school coaches in the state of South Carolina right now. And he's fantastic at what he does. He probably deserves the job that some of these guys I've named out and other unnamed people way more than they do. And he coaches at a 3 or 4A high school here in the upstate, killing it, murdering teams. So, but you have to understand where I'm coming from. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Jay Melvin, tonight's going to be good. I'm going to sit back, eat some Popeyes, and hopefully watch UNC beat the crap out of Virginia. You're going to watch UNC beat the crap out of Virginia. I think instead of taking the over-under for the game, we need to go over-under for how many touchdowns Tez Walker is going to score in this game. I think that's what we really need to do is we need to take the over-under for how many touchdowns Tez Walker is going to score against Virginia. Not me, says Celine's got value. Have Jay Melvin in here. You should Bill Belichick. Never played football. Doesn't matter. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the thing about it. You have guys who has called some great. Michael Leach, from what I can remember, did he ever play football? I don't think that Michael Leach ever played football. I will give you my opinion on why some of these guys do so well. I'm going to tell you why. Sometimes it is good to come from the outside in, never playing, because you get caught up in the minute details of the position that you had to play. And then you get into this mindset of, that's just hard. That's why pause right there. That's why you see some people, they're good employees in a company, but they'll never lead the company because they're so focused on that particular detail. Well, that's hard, and I can attest to that. So they never get over that barrier. That's why you see some of these coaches, they draw up the play, they find the players to run the play, run the scheme, or they're smart enough to say, hey, here's the set of players that we have. The goal is to win. The goal is not to run my system. And they go out there, they adjust their game plan to the talent that they have, and they win. Ask Chris Peterson. He did it at Boise State. He was a pain in the butt when it comes to Boise State. Not me says it's all on the stat sheet. Even I can hold a stat sheet. Yeah, I could. A really good football team, especially these days, with all the analysts. And I'm talking about major college football here. I'm not talking about the little school down the road who the head coach of the football team has to bag groceries because they don't pay him. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about major football. They have analysts everywhere. They have former major head coaches as analysts. And they make up a game plan. They come into the game and they say, if we get to this point of the game and the score is this, and the yardage to gain on fourth down is this is the play we run. Because what they do, and it's intelligent, you take the emotion out of the moment. You look at the stats from past games, even other teams that runs like offenses like you, and you say, this is the chance of us getting a first down on this play at this time. And that's what you do. I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm just saying that some of these guys, I just don't get how they continue to get major job after major job after major job after major job. It proves to me that ADs don't know what they're doing. It proves to me that people, especially these institutes, they have no clue on how to hire someone. They have no clue how to hire. Couldn't hire if you put a gun to their kid's head. Couple other games to look over. As I talked about Duke and Florida State. I did a preview of Duke and Florida State this week. And most likely Riley Leonard, and I'm going to look this up as I'm talking to you. He's going to warm. Okay, I'm just reading this. He's a game time decision. He is going to warm up, but most likely he's not going to play tonight. And folks, if you're Duke and you really care about Riley Leonard, for the love of anything sacred, don't send him out there if he's going to get the crap beat out of him. Because if I'm Florida State and I see him out there and he looks like he's like 65, 70%, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, but this is football. There's a reason they give you a helmet and pads. We're not playing flag here. This is not touching the backyard against your cousins on on Thanksgiving, which most cousins play tackle. Trust me, it's fun to beat up on your cousins. They enjoyed beating up on me. It was fun. We beat up on each other. I love how Thanksgiving football and Christmas Eve football with your cousins and your family, there's always that extra curricular activity where a tackle turns into a chokehold. I've done that. I have. It's a blast. Don't think less of me. Just pray for me. But what I'm saying here is that football is barbaric. These guys, they're lifting weights all the time to be as strong as they possibly can. But you need to remember this. I would pin my ears back and I would hit him and hit him and hit him and hit him and not stop hitting him. For Duke, I did the same thing to Jordan Travis because he's still banged up. I called Florida State win the game like 35-17. Some Florida State, not all Florida State, but some Florida State fans came on. Said, you still seem a little salty about the loss to Clemson. Yeah, I hated it. Yeah, I love that term, salty. It's funny how we come up with all these dumb little terms to just regurgitate over and over. Yeah, I didn't like that my team lost. Did y'all lose so much for so long that y'all started to like it a little bit? No, you didn't. Unless you've lost your mind. And of course, there's talking about, well, Clemson fans don't like to admit it, but Florida State was sick that game. Oh, well, I thought they were sick that Boston College game they almost lost. So anytime they almost lose, they were sick. Okay, I understand. Great comment from Jay Melvin here. I think it's funny that a 70-year-old Mac Brown who was out of football for 10 years is better than some of these other guys. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. It's kind of funny that North Carolina could have went out and hired, someone to come into the program and they went, hey, Mac, what are you doing? Mac, listen, man, we've tried umpteen different coaches and none of them work. We even tried Butch Davis there for a little bit. Didn't work. We're going to need you to come back. Can you do it? Yeah, he's right. I'm telling you this, I'm shocked that they're doing as well as they're doing this year. They're doing much better this year than they were last year. It's crazy. Going back to Florida State. Florida State's going to win that game tonight. I hope Duke wins. Utah and USC getting together, 8 o'clock tonight. Cam Rising is not going to play that game, I'll guarantee it. Southern Cal, even with Utah struggling offensively because of a lack of quarterback play, they're 5-1. Southern Cal's only a 7-point favorite at home. That tells you what Vegas thinks about them. Washington coming off that big win against Oregon. They have the eyes of the nation on them. They have the respect of the country. Playing the Arizona State Sun Devils, who are terrible. Washington is a 27.5-point favorite. You just hope that Washington, I almost said Washington State, but Washington does not take them lightly. You just hope they don't. Because if they do, yeah, we know what will happen. Tonight, Kansas State plays TCU. I wonder if Kansas State beats TCU if everybody's going to foam at the mouth that Kansas State beat a team that was in the national championship. The artist formerly known as TCU. They don't have Garrett Riley. They don't have Duggan. They don't have Quentin Johnson, that wonderful wide receiver, massive wide receiver out there. You beat TCU. Well, if you're some teams that the media wanted to pump up, now they can't play football. Blew a 29-point lead. Who am I talking about? I don't know who I'm talking about. They bannered that everywhere. TCU, the team that was just in the national championship. Yeah, it's funny. Unboxing, reviews, and more, says Bobby Durkins too. I'll tell you this. People who's been friends with me for years who watched Bobby before I'd started doing this channel, the Not Bobby channel, they said, we know when it's you and we know when it's Bobby. I also posed this question. Which is the act? This or Bobby? We don't know. I've been doing some giveaways here. Gave away 2 of these yesterday. Tiger Man. One to Tiger Man, one to Daddy-O. And we'll be giving away a few more of those. Also, in the link in the description below, you'll see a link to 4puttcarts.com, who is sponsor of the show. Their beverage and cart service for golf courses and special events. So reach out to them. Reach out to them and tell them that you heard about them from me. Tim Russell. So what about Dabo wanting to empty the bandwagon? A loss to a Miami team with a half-empty stadium will go a long way to giving him what he said earlier. Be careful what you wish for. Jay Melvin, you forget if you don't say Coach Prime is the greatest coach ever, you're hating and it's personal. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you this. If there's one thing that pushes my button more than anything is when you can't criticize someone for any reason. And I will tell you straight up, in week 2, after he won his game, I said some things that I still stand by about hype. And I don't care that he used the transfer portal. I don't care that he did that. I don't care that he used his success to pull players out there. I don't care about that. That actually doesn't bother me whatsoever. You know, you play the hand you're dealt. That's the hand that he has. Play it. It's just all the other stuff. And over time, whether it's in football or whether it's in business or whether it's in whatever it may be, you see these, it's just like juggernauts supposedly come out of nowhere. Time and time again, we've been proven, whether it's in football or in business or whatever, most of the time these guys always fail, at least in that season or maybe in that business. And as human beings, we're dumb because we don't learn from history. We look at history, hold our middle finger up to it. History repeats itself, and we go, I wish somebody would put that in a book that I could study. And so I criticize him, and I had some people come on my site, and I say site, but my comment section, that posted some stuff in my comment section and said some very rough things. Some I even had to remove, which I think it's ridiculous going that far, saying it to a person they don't know about a person they don't know. It's really funny. But one of them specifically made some comments and said, I'll see you here in 5 weeks. Like the challenge was on. Well, Deion blew it to Oregon in the most impressive game he's had all year is that loss to Southern Cal where they were down by like 30 and then came all the way back. I was impressed by that. And then blowing it to Stanford. But I went and found that person, that comment. I said, "Hey, where you at? Where you at? What are you doing? What are you doing?" Yeah, folks, if I put myself here on YouTube and I got Jordan Bowman in here, Jordan Bowman, nobody in any walk of life is above criticism. You're great. By the way, Jordan Bowman's part of the Tiger Paul Craven crew. That is, he and Tiger Paul Craven's part of the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. Go check them out. It's good to see you, Jordan. But the point about all of this, I mean, this is just how it is. When you put yourself on YouTube and you make certain comments, you open yourself up to criticism. But I do get to respond. And that was fun. That was fun. But I wish that team the best. It's just play football. Just play football. You can have fun. It's a blast. I think one of Deion's infamous quotes is something about, if our confidence bothers you, that's on you, or something like that. No, I just saw through the bull crap. So I didn't see confidence. I saw arrogance. That three game losing streak, that shows me that proves that once again, I was right. History repeated itself. But I don't have anything like personal against Deion. I hope he's well. I hope he learns from his season. He has the pull to pull in any player he wants to. He really does. Tim Russell, I'm going to go back to this. The statements this week. About the 1.5% of the state of the Clemson fans who are creating trouble and dissension. And he said maybe we need to lose to lighten the bandwagon. And I did 2 videos and then I deleted them. I did 2 videos and then I deleted them. And some people's asking me why I've deleted them. I'm going to tell you why. I have told you all the way back when I was Bobby Durkin, starting about 40 years ago, I started telling you that Clemson was on a decline. That the way that we got to winning is no longer those practices are gone. And I made that statement. I've also made the statement this year multiple times to anyone who's watching. And I have a lot of people who's watching me now. It's crazy. It's funny. The channel's growing fast. I don't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but considering how tough it is to get subscribers on YouTube now because of all the changes in the saturation, I'm proud and thankful for everybody who supports the show. And a lot of people I've got to interact with. But folks, I want to be very careful to say this and very clear. If you stop doing what made you successful and you set the bar high for success, and you said, hey, this is the aim, this is what we're focusing on, and then you stop, then things start to fall apart. You just have to understand something. People who saw the way you operated, they're going to criticize you. They can appreciate you. They can be pulling for you. They're not bad guys. They're not hoping that you lose everything. They're not hoping that you get fired. What they hope is that you get back to what you used to do. But I took down those 2 videos. I wish Coach Swinney the very best, but I'm going to give you a prophetic message, folks, and I'm not a prophet. If we continue to have these same practices, I can promise you, Clemson's not done going down. And that bandwagon will truly lighten. But, well, folks, listen, I'm going to let you go. Jeff Laughlin in here. Clemsational. Leave the turnovers in the oven, not on the field. That's fantastic, Jeff. Now I want an apple turnover or something like that. I will do a pregame of the Clemson game. Let me see. Halftime and a post-game report. As long as nothing bad happens, keeps me from it. So, but anyway, y'all take care of yourself. I'm getting ready to watch some football, and I hope you are too. I'll catch you later on in the day. As always, go Tigers.